Hello and welcome back to Get Up and Game. My name is Josh, and it is yet another hero announcement. After months of getting no information from Fantasy Flight Games, they have just been blessing us left and right, just dropping news bomb after news bomb, and it is absolutely awesome. So today we have the X-23 hero pack for Marvel Champions revealed. I have not looked at this one little bit. And this is going to be as raw as it gets. My family's just hanging out in the background, and we are just going to talk about X-23. I'm so excited to take a look at her cards. I have no idea what to expect from her. Of course, if you're not too familiar with the character, she is basically Wolverine's clone daughter, because comics. And it'll be very interesting to see how they differentiate her from Wolverine. So let's just dive right into the article. We'll read a little bit of the article to get the general gist of things, and then we'll just start going through her cards. Created as a clone of Wolverine, X-23 shares her father's claws and healing factor. As a child, she was exploited by the malicious facility, but now she's become a fierce protector of the young and the innocent, especially her own clone and adopted sister, Gabby. Okay, that must have come a little bit later in Laura's history because I am not really familiar with that character, or maybe I've just forgotten. But we are looking at the X-23 Hero Pack. The Scrappy Mutant tears her way into battle with this expansion pack, which introduces X-23 as a new playable hero alongside her 16 signature cards. With a pre-built aggression deck ready to play right away. Okay, that's not surprising. You'll be able to rip through the villain's forces from the moment you open the box. With her ability to ready after taking damage and utter refusal to back down, X-23 is a formidable force on the battlefield. Okay, so we're just going to look at her cards. And I want to say up front, I'm very curious to see how this plays out, because I'm usually a little bit less excited about the aggression heroes just because attacking and damaging isn't always my favorite thing to do in the game. I like a little bit more nuance. But you know, after kind of being a little cool on Angel at first and then really coming around the other side of it, I'm definitely going to keep an open mind, and I'm very excited to see what she can do. So let's just jump straight in. Please don't do that, buddy. That's going to be noisy. All right, so we've got Laura Kinney with a 6 recovery. All right, so far looking an awful lot like Wolverine. She's a mutant. She has a shunk ability where she gets her claws into play. Okay, looking an awful lot like Wolverine. 6 hand size, 10 hit points. Her action is to shuffle either the Honey Badger ally or the Sisterly Bond event from your discard pile into your deck, and then you get to draw a card. Interesting. So if she has this Honey Badger ally or the Sisterly Bond event in the discard pile, she can shuffle them back in and draw a card. I always love discard pile recursion. Getting cards back is always a very good time. So let's see what her hero power is. Oh, we're going to look at her claws first. So it's an upgrade as permanent, so we know it's going to be set aside at the beginning, and then her alter ego ability is going to put them in play at the end of setup. Hooray, we know exactly how that works. No acrimony there. Her hero action on the claws, exhaust them and take 2 damage to get +2 attack until the end of the round. Okay, so she is going to be attacking probably over and over. You're going to be wanting to ready her to get the most out of that +2 attack, and it's till the end of the round. So I'm wondering if she will have ways that's similar to Ghost Spider to be able to do things during the hero or the villain phase. So that's interesting. Okay, well, that's pretty different from Wolverine. Instead of playing an event for free, we're getting +2 attack, which is pretty significant considering the upgrade comes into play for free. So it'll be interesting to see what her base attack stat is. And it's a 1. Okay, not too surprising. She does have 2 thwart, which is nice. And then 1 attack and 2 defense. Her ability is Living Weapon. And she has X-Force trait, and as a response, after X-23 takes any amount of damage, she readies once per phase. Okay. So you can damage her with her claws. That's going to stand her back up. So yeah, she'll attack for 1, and then she'll take damage, ready up with the take 2 damage from the claws, stand back up and attack for 3. That's the base thing you can do. I'm sure there'll be fun little things that play into that. She does have a 5 hand size, which is nice. All right, so let's start taking a look at her cards and see what she's really made of. Well, here's Honey Badger, Gabby Kinney. So 2 cost ally, nice and cheap, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 health, X-Men traded. So you can do all the fun X-Men things with her. And hero response, after Honey Badger takes any amount of damage, ready X-23. Okay, she's only got 2 health, so she can't take much damage, and she has to survive in order to trigger that hero response. So if X-23 takes damage, she's going to stand back up, and then if Gabby here takes damage, X-23 is going to stand back up again. Very interesting. This is a lot of fun. Hero readying, stat boosting, and hero readying is one of my favorite deck archetypes. So I already see this being a lot of fun. And the cool thing is you ready her and she does have a 2 thwart. So, you know, I'm always thinking solo play. So it's going to be nice to be able to ready so easily in order to have access to that 2 thwart stat, as well as a 2 defense. So it's easy to ready her if she does defend in the villain phase. Plus when she takes if she does take damage in the villain phase, she'll get to stand back up. So similar to Quicksilver, you might as well defend with her. Very, very cool so far. All good things. Very fun. I really like the look of the cards. The black and the white looks really nice. All right, so let's take a look at the next one then. We have Claw Mastery, a 1-cost event. It's a skill max 1 per round, so she's probably got a few of these. As a hero action until the end of the round, she gets +2 attack, and her attacks gain overkill while Honey Badger is in play. So Honey Badger wants to be taking damage so that she can be ready in Laura, but you want to be keeping her in play so that you get the overkill if you want. And that's just all of her attacks. So that's even her events are going to get overkill. Now the +2 attack is obviously just for her basic attack, but it's cool that all of her attacks gain overkill. So even when you're playing your attack events, as long as you got Honey Badger, they all have overkill. That is very strong so far. She's just very attacky, very attacky. I noticed at the beginning that's not always exciting to me, but I do love the readying is super fun because there's other things you can do with that too. Here we go. Regenerative Longevity, 1-cost event, superpower. Heal a total of 4 damage from your identity and Honey Badger. Oh, this is so cool how much it revolves around her signature ally. We've never seen that before, which is immediately making me hope that we have cards in here that tutor out Honey Badger. I know we do get to shuffle her back into the deck if she gets defeated, so there's ways to get her back if she can get to Alter Ego that way, but it would be cool if there's a way to tutor her up, as well as maybe prevent some damage or put like an upgrade on her outside of, you know, the aspect cards. Maybe Laura has something, because clearly you want Honey Badger in play. So heal a total of 4 from your identity and Honey Badger. That's awesome. Also, because one thing she doesn't have, like Wolverine, is she doesn't have a healing factor, at least not on her hero card. So this is a way to heal. She'll probably have at least a couple of these, healing a bunch of damage. Sisterly Bond, this is the other card that can be shuffled in with the Alter Ego ability. 0-cost event, love that. Hero Interrupt, when Honey Badger thwarts or attacks, add X-23's matching power to Honey Badger's power for this use. So you can build X-23's attack up real high, real easily. And then you get to add her, whatever her power is. So if she has a high attack, it gets added to her attack, and then her 2 thwart could get added. Interesting. So let's go back to Honey Badger. So she does have 1 consequential damage on her thwart and attack. So she's just a regular ally, but there's just so much built around her. And when she takes any amount of damage, which I kind of didn't realize the first time, it includes consequential damage. So by activating Honey Badger, essentially is also readying X-23. So this is just really fascinating how much this revolves around Honey Badger. And of course, me being a huge fan of leadership, I'm thinking of all the different ways you're going to be able to ready her and, you know, protect her with the ready for action, give her a tough, things like that. I just feels like you're really going to be wanting to lean into this, because I think just about every card we've seen has something to do with Honey Badger. Plus, you know, bring that meme back is always a good time. Sisterhood, 2-cost support. Action, exhaust Sisterhood and discard an X-23 card from your hand. So just any of your signature cards. Search your deck and discard power for Honey Badger and add her to your hand. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And it's can be used in Hero or Alter Ego. So if you're in Alter Ego, you'll be able to shuffle her in and then immediately go get her. So kind of shades of Vision and Vivian, but it's actually probably a little bit even easier here to be able to get Honey Badger. Now you still, you know, of course, have to pay to bring her back out, but at least she's inexpensive. And the team building exercise won't even work because she is X-Men traded and not X-Force traded. So you're pretty much going to have to pay the full cost, but still it's nice that you're going to be able to get her so easily, assuming you get this out, of course. Pain Tolerance, 2-cost upgrade. After you play an X-23 card, including this one, heal 1 damage from your identity. So here's her healing factor. So just by playing any of her cards, and you're going to be able to play Gabby over and over and over again if you can get to Alter Ego often enough. which, you know, might not be the easiest thing in the world to do. But hypothetically, you're going to be playing Gabby fairly occasionally. That's going to be healing you for free. It's interesting that it includes the reminder text after you play an X-23 card, including this one, because that's the way this would always work. Since it's a response, its text would take place after the card enters play. But I think of Sky Destroyer, when that comes into play, the shield support, you can exhaust that to immediately deal 2 damage because a shield card just entered play. But people often have the question if you can exhaust that to deal the damage immediately. And here it actually explicitly tells you. Sometimes I worry, though, that the reminder text seems more like it's creating an exception rather than telling you how the cards actually work. Because it's like, well, including this one, but that's how every card like this would work. But still, it's nice that it says that so you don't have to question, especially being a hero card. You definitely want to know how it works. So she seems like she's got a lot of really important cards that you want to get into play. And it would be really, really cool if she had a couple of these, and then you'd be healing 2 damage every time you play an X-23 card. So that's awesome. I'm kind of excited to see if she has some kind of defense event. I would love to know what that is. Here's Grim Resolve, 1 cost upgrade. Condition, exhaust this card and take 1 damage to generate a wild resource. Okay, so she gets her own Clarity of Purpose, her own Venom's hero power. And of course, when she takes damage, she could ready, you know, assuming she hadn't already used that power. So lots of ways to trigger readying for Laura. She's just going to be, yeah, I am very excited about all the stat boosting and readying that is taking place here. Super fun archetype. Now you got to get all these upgrades into play. It's kind of interesting. She doesn't really have like a lot of powers, but as you layer all these things on top, which is true of a lot of heroes, but it feels like it's especially true for her. Like you got to get all her powers into play so she can do all her cool stuff. They're cheap, but it's just interesting how many good upgrades and supports. It's like, it feels like you're just going to get them all out. And I like that she seems to be more of an upgrade support type hero. That's 1, 2, 3. And then the ally, so 4. So it feels like she's less event driven than a lot of heroes can be. And she is more about, you got to get her upgrades and supports into play, which is typically more my speed. So you get this in to do some healing. You put the 1 in to go get Honey Badger. You put this one in to get some resources. Very awesome. Here we have another upgrade, 0 cost Puncture Wound. Attached to an enemy that X-23 or Honey Badger attacked this turn. Attached enemy gets -1 attack. Attached to an enemy. Okay, so they have to have already attacked the enemy, so probably the villain. Attached enemy gets -1 attack. After the player phase begins, discard this card and deal 3 damage to attached enemy. Interesting. So yeah, so you'll hit the villain, throw this on there. You'll take a little bit less damage from the attack, and then they're going to take 3 damage. This is also pretty nice minion control, though. If you have Honey Badger hit somebody for 1, Honey Badger is going to take a damage, which is going to ready Laura. And then that minion is not going to hit you very hard at all, because most minions have 1 or 2 attack. And then they're just going to bleed out and die from their puncture wound at the beginning of the next villain phase, or hero phase. This is cool. I really like this for minion control. Very, very different type of card. Very delayed effect. You're still going to take that 1 hit, but that is awesome. Plus, this being an upgrade that goes on enemies, this could trigger with things like Cyclops, which could be fun too. So that's awesome. Man, I'm really liking the look of her cards. This is just fascinating. So I think that's probably all of Laura's cards, though lately they've been jumping in and out of the article, so we'll see. But yeah, lots and lots and lots of readying, healing, resource generation, really just interesting cards, different. She does not feel much like Wolverine at all. So good job. A very attacky, damage-driven hero that plays very differently than Wolverine. That's a job well done. I am definitely looking forward to playing her. It's going to be a lot of fun to try to stack stuff on her with things like fluid motions and just combat trainings, or all the stat boosting upgrades to try to get the most out of those, and just various other effects, R&D, facility, anything that's going to boost her stats. So a very Quicksilver feel in that way. It's a little bit harder to ready her, though there's a lot of different ways to do it. Plus all the aspect cards that, you know, she's going to have access to, you know, similar to Wolverine in one respect. She's going to play really well in protection with things like What Doesn't Kill Me, because she's going to want to heal, and it's going to give her another ready, with more access to her massive attack that she's probably going to have. And Quicksilver is a lot of fun to play, so definitely looking forward to playing her as well. Now let's see some new aggression cards. Hopefully we've got something exciting here. We saw Boom Boom. So now we get the version we can play with anytime, not just with Sentinel. 3 cost, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 health. X-Force traded. And another nice thing about this is we need some X-Force allies for Angel to play with. I made a lot of noise about him wanting to use team building exercise. And so we want to see some more X-Force allies for him to play with that. So as an action, you can exhaust Boom Boom, add 1 boom counter to her. Then you may discard Boom Boom. That's a lot of booms. To deal 1 damage to each enemy for each boom counter on her. So you exhaust her, add a boom counter, then you may discard her to deal 1 damage to each enemy. Oh. So the longer you can keep her out and just add boom counters to things. Sorry, the word boom is already like seared a hole in my brain and I can barely even read this card anymore because all the booms are just blank brain hole text. So you exhaust this character to add a counter to her. Then you may discard her to deal 1 damage to each enemy for each counter on her. Okay, so you just keep her around. She's a ticking time bomb. Just keep adding counters. If you could find ways to ready her, you can add counters faster. And then you discard her. And you need to discard her. If she dies, you lose all this. Then you deal 1 damage to each enemy. So that could be a lot of fun. Very delayed, very slow for aggression, but a very different style. And I really appreciate that. So that's pretty neat. Sure, there's some really fun things you'll be able to do with her. We're just getting all the Sentinel allies here. Richter, another X-Force aggression ally, 3 cost, 1 thwart, 2 attacks. Something special is happening when he attacks with 3 health this time. His response is after he attacks, you discard the top card of your deck. Deal 1 damage to each minion engaged with you for each resource on the discarded card. So probably dealing 1 damage to each minion, but possibly 2. You throw them in domino and you flip over jackpot. You're dealing 3 damage to each minion engaged with you. So that's pretty cool. It's very nice to have just on-demand AoE damage, and he's already attacking for 2, and then after he attacks, you also get to do that. So. And you could do that potentially 3 times because that will trigger before he takes his final consequential damage if you don't want to block with him. So that seems really solid. Anytime you can wipe out a lot of minions, or at least even just put a lot of damage on a lot of minions, depending on the scenario, can be incredibly helpful. He feels like somebody you would definitely include, if you're going into an Ultron, if you're going into a Green Goblin or a Drang, somebody like that, or somebody who gets a lot of toughs like the Sentinels, like Zola, things like that. So very situationally good, but also just pretty solid. That 2 attack with 3 health is just really nice all around. So definitely think you're going to be seeing a lot of him. And the X-Men also have dust, so there are just lots of good ways these days to wipe out a lot of minions. So let's see. We have a 1 cost upgrade. Now I'm mad. What's this do? Play under any player's control, max 1 per player, while your hero's remaining hit points are less than half your hero's starting hit points. This could be an interesting mechanism to lean into. Your hero gets +1 attack and -1 thwart. Okay. So you're playing Hulk. You want to get your attack up even higher. You just need to take 9 damage. Or She-Hulk wants to take some damage. Okay, I could definitely see this getting played. Now you can only get 1, but it's just another way to boost your attack. Obviously, X-23 wants to be boosting your attack. But all these big time aggression heroes, just however you can get your stat boosted, because then you can ready and make use of it over and over. So you just throw this on top of your combat training, on top of your fluid motions, and just keep on punching. Very, very fun. Moment of Triumph gets a reprint. That seems fine. Definitely could use those if you're only buying some of the newer stuff or you don't have that pack. And we finally see the aggression player side scheme. Yes, I didn't even think of that. Okay, what's this going to be? So it has the assault trait or keyword. I guess it would be a keyword. Basic thwarts against this scheme use attack instead of thwart. So basic thwart. So you can just attack this thing for 3 with your character's activation. Like you have to exhaust your hero, exhaust your ally, and you could deal damage to this to remove threat from it. But if you're playing events, it would still be a thwart event. So that's kind of interesting that they make that distinction. But because you're attacking either way, whether it's your basic attack or an event, but I'm sure there's reasons why they wanted to do that, probably so you can't just dive bomb this thing away. So, but that makes it easier for aggression to deal with. You don't have to have a good thwarting, and this is I know I'll read what the card actually does in a second, but very reminiscent of Lord of the Rings. They introduced quests where you could basically make progress with your attack stats instead of the thwarting stat for that game, willpower. So I just love seeing that stuff come over into this game because I'm such a huge fan of that game. What does this thing do? When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme removes 5 threat per player from the main scheme. So you can attack this thing to remove threat instead of removing threat to deal damage. That's cool. That's cool. So it's kind of the polar opposite of the Justice one, as I think a lot of people speculated, but that is really nice. I like the theme. I love the theme of all these. Keep them busy. So she's running around as a distraction. And then by completing this, you get to remove a bunch of threat from the main scheme. So this is so, the player side schemes are nutso awesome. So excited. What else do we have here? The direct approach, another 1 cost upgrade. It's a tactic. So Cyclops could tutor it up if he wanted to. Attached to a non-permanent side scheme. So this is kind of similar to that protection one we saw. Limit 1 per attached scheme gains assault. Well, there you go. So you can use this to throw on side schemes, and then you just punch them instead of thwarting them. And that's really going to help characters like Hulk. It's really going to help characters like Drax, who are just very, very bad at thwarting, but very, very good at punchy. And so this, in a way, I mean, you're adding 2 resources to then also having to attack a thing. So it's, it's a little expensive in that way, I suppose, but still just having the option. It's sort of similar to playing a thwart event or an event that's just going to boost your thwart for the turn. Except this way you get to use your attack stat, which could potentially be very high. It is not hard to attack. Is probably the easiest stat to boost up really high, or it for sure is. So this could be very, very effective. What a cool card, and what a cool picture. Just got the whole team just diving at. Oh, I should definitely know who that is. Oh, it's Apocalypse, right? It's probably Apocalypse. Okay, let's move on. 2 cost basic upgrade. Love me some basic cards. Combat Specialist linked. What is this linked card? Specialization. Am I going to have to go back to the article? What does this even mean? Specialized training. Your hero gets +1 attack. After your hero performs a basic attack, exhaust this, draw a card. Okay, this is obviously incredible, but what the heck does linked mean? We're going to have to go back to the article to investigate this. What does this mean? Where is that? And, okay. X-23's packs comes with new linked cards, which aren't actually included in your deck, but rather are set aside when the game begins and can only enter play when the card they're linked to is resolved. In this case, the cards Combat Specialist, Defense Specialist, Frontline Specialist, and Surveillance Specialist are all linked to the Specialized Training player side scheme, which is included in X-23's pre-built deck. Defeat that scheme, and each player can claim one of the... What? Huh? What? Specialized Training. Okay, this is the last... Let's go over that. This is... my mind's blown. 1 cost, player side scheme. So yet another one. There's so many more than I thought there would be. When defeated, each player who does not control a specialization upgrade chooses 1 set-aside specialization... That's going to be a fun word to say on camera. Specialization upgrade and puts it into play under their control. It costs 5. So you got to get this thing out. You got to defeat it. And then you get these. Okay, well, let's go back through these. So now we know you have to do the side scheme first. So Cable can just go get it if he really wanted to. And then these are just set aside. And then you go get it. And it, go back and read. Does it get added to your hand? Probably. And then you put this in. And they're so, so good. So this linked is telling you what card it's linked to. So in this case, you need the Specialized Training. And, there will be presumably other ones then that if you do this special thing, you get these linked cards. Oh, this is definitely not something I was expecting. This is crazy cool. Got to jump through some hoops, but you get a card that's giving you +1 attack and a card draw every time you do when you do a basic attack, you exhaust this, draw a card. Oh my goodness, that's good. And then of course, +1 defense, makes a basic defense, draw a card. Oh my gosh. You get +4 hit points with the Frontline Specialist and take damage from an enemy attack. Exhaust this card, draw a card. This is nuts. This is nuts, y'all. And then get +1 thwart after you perform. Okay, that's pretty good. And then you do put it into play. So you complete this, and so I guess they just have a cost in case they get discarded. You draw them, you can play them again. Oh, so you remove 5 threat, and then whatever you're doing, and you know, you can only have one of these in your deck. It's unique, but I don't see you not including this always, because these are so good and you're going to want them, and they're there for pretty much every archetype. Whatever you're doing, there's a huge boost for doing that very basic common thing, and you get a stat boost and a card draw. This is making me think of like symbiote suit. Like, you kind of have to jump through some hoops with a symbiote suit, but you get massive benefits. This is way less risky because, you know, you're not really relying on those. It's just, you know, oh, cool, I got the side scheme whenever, put into play, clear it, 5 threats, kind of a lot, I guess. But then you're getting a permanent, it's just like playing campaign mode without playing campaign mode. You get these awesome, awesome cards. This is so shocking. I don't know, maybe I'm overselling it, but I did not expect this. This is cool. And now I'm just super excited for whatever comes next. Like what other specialization type things we get, or linked things. I guess these are specialized because that's that particular side scheme, but other ones could be linked, you know, some other kind of training. Oh goodness. Okay, well, that's awesome. I hope everybody else is as excited about that as I am, because that's so cool. And yep, I think they've sold me on X-23. She sure does look awesome. So many good aggression cards, so many interesting new aggression cards. Definitely gets a boost with this direct approach. Is going to be so nice for certain heroes. And just a lot of really cool, so many more ways to boost your attack. And the specialization, I think, is the thing we're probably mostly going to be talking about. That is absolutely incredible. Finally getting to see the aggression side scheme, also going to be huge for aggression solo decks. Being able to remove 5 threat is a lot. Let me double check. Was that just all from one scheme? From the main scheme. Okay, that's a little disappointing, but still very, you know, 5 threats a lot, and that's nice. So yeah, super pumped for X-23. The whole pack, like the Gabby stuff is fascinating, and then everything else looks great too. So I hope you're all as excited as I am. Let's go talk about it in the comments. Let's go talk about it on social media. Let's get really excited for X-23. I want to thank you for joining me, and that is definitely my cue to go. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time we get up a game. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.